Pergi mana ni?
Oh, nak pergi cosplay fair.
Cosplay? Itulah sebab pakai macam ni ah. You punya road tax sudah mati tau?
Road tax sudah mati?
Oh,
I sudah lupa. Boleh tolong tak?
Tolong you renew? Oh, you pun tahu ah? Okay. Sekarang ni, you punya handphone pergi POI to you. Nampak tak?
Nampak.
Tekan road tax. Lepas tu masuk you punya nombor kereta, ID semua. Lepas tu bayar. Dia akan bagi you QR code.
Yang ni QR code dia akan keluar segera ke? Boleh guna pakai?
Segera dapat.
Oh,
okay. Lepas I scan, macam ni lah. You dah renew lah.
Okay.
Jangan kena tangkap lagi ya.
Sorry.
Renew sekarang ah.
Okay, arigatou ni-chan.
Okay, pergi. Okay, this is the interior of the new Accord. Now, I've done the review of this car one round, and this round Honda passed this car to my team again. So, in respect of my profession, I'm gonna do it, even though now what everybody wants to watch or wants to know about is the HRV. Well, as you guys know, I'm not a preferred media in a way, so I wouldn't be getting the HRV now, but nevertheless, I'll do what my work requires me to do. Provide reviews when we were slotted cars, okay? Now, the first thing you will notice when you step into this new Accord is it feels more compact than the previous Accord. You feel that you sit closer to the passenger next to you. You feel that the center console isn't that much bigger than the Civic, and everything just feels more compact. This sort of feels like you know how the Arteon is like the long wheelbase of the Passat. This somewhat feels like the long wheelbase version of the Civic. Okay, now in terms of materials of the cabin, let's go through the materials first. It is in no way comparable to the segment Mazda 6. Mazda 6 is very old, but it has a higher quality cabin than this, and the Camry as well. Even the Civic, see this part, which is very near to where your knees are, a lot of car makers, they will use soft touch plastic, which is the same as this. You see, in the Accord, this is soft touch, but this has no interaction with our seating position or usage, right? But this one, where our knees tend to be, is some of the hardest plastics, the low quality hard plastic. You knock it softly with a knuckle, it hurts, and somehow Honda decided to use it here. They should use the same material, this soft touch. This is little bit soft touch, if I may use that word. All right, and this part, this entire part, is rather poorly designed. Okay, this part, I mean, these are clean, yeah, okay, pretty low res, and this is decidedly 2013-14. Resolution isn't high. Of course, from the screen it may not look so, but if I go a little bit closer, you can see that's the resolution. All right, and somehow the rendering, even though I can briefly recognize this is maybe the number plate, all right, but the way it is being rendered is pretty poor. Okay, now these are some inlays that look like wood, but they're not. Okay, and aircon control panels of Japanese cars are usually very straightforward, very easy to operate, and I love the click. You can hear that, right? Very nice. Aircon, of course, is very cold. But then when we come to here, first of all, the gear lever is not very user friendly. Okay, it's very thin and the button goes up, so you tend to have to hold it like that, like a fighter jet. It's not, you know, usually gear levers of this segment, it's very comfortable to rest. You look at this, this serves like an armrest. Okay, if the gear lever is somewhat a shorter, wider, fatter version and a button here, then it will give a very comfortable grip. But somehow, out of nowhere, they decided to make a gear lever that you have to hold this way and use your index finger to push the little button up. You know, from here it's very difficult to push the button. There is a very large travel when you do this, but you don't need to press that far. You can just press a little bit and then you can push it. Overall, I find the gear lever not very conducive in terms of usage. The second thing is this chunky piece of unnecessarily huge mechanism. I just find it a bit weird. Honda has been able to make mechanisms where the hinge and everything is hidden inside in older cars without the need for having this chunky hinge molding impeding into the space. Whereas this one is like too big a piece of plastic mechanism that is so poorly designed that it occupies such a huge space, and for what is just a wireless charger inside. It's not a high-speed wireless charging or anything. It's the type where it's sort of able to maintain your phone's charge if you're just listening to music. If you fire it up ways or whatever, it's gonna slow down the deplete instead of being able to charge it in any meaningful way. But of course, there's a USB port that also does data, and there's a 12-volt socket inside, and that's about it. One USB port here. Okay, there is another USB port hidden inside here, and this armrest, that's the max it will go up to. So when you open it, it sort of blocks your arm from using things. Okay, it's, yeah, you see that? It doesn't go all the way to the back. Okay, there's a tray here. The tray is rubberized, so it's all right. Space is decent inside, pretty deep, pretty wide. Okay, and there's one more USB port in there which supports data, and that's about it. Okay, you cannot slide or do anything with this armrest. Two cup holders, there's a cutout in between. Very straightforward design, nothing much. Deep enough for you to put venti or grande, whatnot. Okay, yeah, slim area for the gear lever, but the gear lever is just very long. All right, come to the steering wheel. This is the home button, where when you press this one, okay, this is executed pretty well. This is analog dial, this is digital, but the legibility of both looks very, very similar. Same like what Mazda did with their, you know, digital plus analog speedo. So if I press the home button, you will see something pop up there. Okay, it says tachometer, range and fuel, speed and time, audio, phone, driving support, driver attention, maintenance safety support, warnings. If I press any one of it, let's press in. So it changes the dial in a way that shows that kind of information that I needed. And if I go with this, average fuel consumption and all that, very Japanese, very compact way of showing information. Okay, all right, audio, right, phone, all right, driving support, and that's the Honda sensing part. This car has full Honda sensing. Basically, you have lane keep assist, automatic braking, radar cruise control, and everything. All right, safety support, right, it shows you all these things pretty alright. And then if I press the sport or economy button, I press sport, look at the animation going on there. Alright, it shows the turbocharger, the boost levels of the turbocharger, and then after a while it goes back to this. Alright, and if I go economy, it just goes back to normal, plus a little tree icon that comes up. Sport, and then that's it. Okay, stop button is here for the turn on the safety system or turn off. Parking sensors, traction control, trip meter, plus minus the brightness of this. Okay, I can reduce the brightness. Okay, pretty nice. Oh, I can turn it all the way off like a Saab. Okay, seat memory control. By default with this key, when I start the car, it will go to position 1, which is not my position. One thing I find it interesting is I came up the car, I reversed my seat, and then after I switch off the car, when I start the car again, it wouldn't remember my setting. It will just set default to number 1. What number 1 is, it will just go there. Okay, open the boot. The boot is not powered, it is just an electronic release. That's for the bonnet, is over there. Here you have a button, you press and then it retracts the side mirrors. You can use this very straightforward to adjust whichever way. Lock and lock button only on the driver's side. Child lock for the windows at the back, and then front both auto, up and down, and then rear is, you know, you have to hold it. Alright, here's the door handle, here's the lock and lock button, normal speakers. This part is soft touch as well. This part is hard, not painful. Painful. Hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic. Okay, you can put a bottle over here. Very short door bin. They didn't do full length. Look at how long the door is. Just look at how long the door is. The door bin is just here, and this part is sealed. There's no access to the back. If they open up, you can put a lot more stuff, but they did not. There's a little dimmer light over there. Now moving here, there's the dash cam. Okay, and rear view mirror. You get sunglass holder, padded inside. Lights. This one. Okay, just a little pocket here for your card, very easy to slot in. Okay, there we go. No slot over here. This one releases that. There's a little bit of echo when I close it. Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Here, the glove box is alright. The size is normal. And the seats are actually small for a car of this size. For a D segment car, these are very small seats. I keep finding that, especially this part, it's not wide enough to support my butt. So I know they've been trying to make this car a little bit younger, but the seats are just small for me. Alright, and the headrest is just about alright. I think the new Civics seats are more comfortable. Okay, and you get some controls here for the passenger at the back to adjust the seat in case the bosses want to, you know, move about. Here you press this, it shows the Honda lane watch. Alright, which shows there's a camera mounted on the left side mirror, so it shows the rear, and it activates itself when you want to turn left, and then it will activate. Okay, yeah, it's pretty immediate. Alright, and here's the volume button, plus minus, and then receive phone call, end phone call, voice control, lane keep assist, adjust the distance between the adaptive cruise control or Distronic front with the car in front, and then here you cancel cruise control. The logic of these buttons are the traditional type. Okay, these are paddle shifters. They feel pretty good, but they are actually plastic with a little bit of a rubberized groove at the back, and it's simulated gears because this is a CVT Now in terms of performance, apart from a little bit of turbo lag on initial kick down or initial throttle, after that the car just picks up speed and go and go and go and go and go. You can reach pretty fast speeds in no time. All right, I have no complaints with its performance, and fuel consumption has been proven to be rather decent. Now coming to the infotainment screen here, it's funny, yesterday night I keep on pressing this and nothing. I was like, why is this not working? Okay, this is a bit about logic as well. This little button down here is the button that I should be pressing, but at night I couldn't see it. I thought it's just a one line, or I thought it's just a separator to allow me to touch this surface or this surface or this surface. So basically the large area with which to press is not the button, but the little separator below is the button. I think an easier way would have been making a larger button with the legend on top of the button, and then with some space that cuts out in between buttons. You know, they got it on the reverse. So yeah, volume knob is here, scroll is here. In terms of interface, you know, Japanese cars, their infotainment interface is they don't really spend much effort in terms of, but it's straightforward enough. But yeah, they don't really spend much effort in terms of garnishing it up, and a lot of these kind of unnecessary. Probably you can disable it, but probably you can, I don't know. Okay, and I was in the car the other day and a phone call came in, and I was shocked. The default ringtone is horrible, scary, loud, just horrible. Okay, it hurts my ears. And I keep looking at this little chrome line plus this plastic. It's poorly executed, especially this part. Really, this part is poorly executed. It's just so, it feels cheap. It touch cheap, it looks cheap. It doesn't feel like an Accord. The previous Accord has a much nicer interior. All right, seats are short, narrow, small, not very supportive, but the adjustability is all right. Okay, in terms of maneuverability, the car steers really well. This leather steering wheel feels really good. The leather is high quality, very smooth, very nice. No complaints to that. Okay, that's the front compartment, and let's go to the rear. Now that is my seating position up front. Here you get one USB port, two USB port, aircon vents, no aircon controls. The armrest here has cup holders in there. This is, yeah. See, this is the mechanism. See, the whole mechanism hides in, and it doesn't bulge any big hinges or whatnot. You know, it's tidy. They could have used this there, but that thing is just so badly done. Anyway, here you get a blind. This feels a little bit soft touch. This is straight up hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic, 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 hard plastics all round, except this little part and this little part. Okay, now you can see how small the seats are in front. These are very small and narrow seats for what is a D segment car. Of course, it gives the impression that the car is bigger. It also gives the impression to the rear passenger that you get more visibility, but the seats that were spec'd in this car is pretty small. Seatbelts can be adjusted, pretty nice. Headroom, this is interesting. As an Accord, I have absolutely no headroom at the back here. See, the Arteon feels more slopey than this visually, but this doesn't happen. This one, literally, my head lodges on the top of the roof liner. All right, I know Honda tried to design a car that is a little bit more sporty, and to drive, but all they did was reduce the suspension travel to give you the impression of sharp handling. But when you cross over small little bumps and all that, right, it judders into the cabin. The suspension travels very little, and basically the fast steering of the car is simulated because of a harder suspension, bigger wheels maybe, and then lessen the suspension travel. So when you go over little speed bumps like that, even at slow speeds, right, the whole car just goes doom doom. You know, for a car, for a D segment car from 2022 now, that is pretty primitive suspension adjustability. Probably Honda didn't want to put in too much effort or too much technology to it, because nobody buys an Accord now. Okay, coming to the boot. So it's spring loaded so that it pops up a little bit, and then because it uses a swan neck mechanism, it counterweights the boot. The boot isn't using some exotic material, but it feels lightweight because of the swan neck mechanism countering it. And of course, like all Accords, the boot is absolutely massive, super huge. Okay, they put a cover over the swan neck mechanism, but be mindful, if you put luggage here, the swan neck mechanism will actually impede in and press on your luggage if it's too high. There's a lever here, you pull and then release the seats, and then you can push the seats down for a pass-through, which is pretty nice. Okay, in terms of design, the profile is unique. The rear is ugly, very ugly in fact. The wheels are beautiful, very beautiful in fact. And then the best way to look at this car is from like a two-third front angle, where you can see the sloping rear end, and it looks pretty sporty. But other than that, look at the LED headlamps, the bulging front here, the chrome bar on top, the black part below here, a lot of garnishing stuff. But I do like the wheels. I like the tires, Michelin Primacy, very high quality tires, 18-inch wheels. And anything else you need to know? RON 91 minimum, unleaded fuel only. Okay, so should you buy? 187,000. It may be the cheapest of the three. Doesn't drive as well as the Camry or the Mazda 6. Doesn't feel as spacious as the Camry or the Mazda 6, at least from the front. Put it this way, there was a time when D segment cars were challenging E-Class and 5 Series for chauffeur-driven mid-level top exec segment. But this whole segment has now been completely obliterated by SUVs. So car makers were trying to turn them into sportier cars. Mazda 6 was very successful at that. Camry as well. And the Accord was sort of the last one to turn it to a sporty thing. But they sort of didn't put in enough effort, at least based on Honda's talent. Honda is a very, very talented company, and they can if they want to, but if the accountants doesn't show a promising return of investment, why put in so much effort? And it shows. They didn't really focus much in wanting to achieve something with this car, unlike the Civic. The Civic, they went all out in wanting, they are hell-bent in taking the market by storm. This one is for them, by the way, let's do it because probably we still can sell a few. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like a compelling product when it compare. I mean, specs are good. I mean, this one has everything. Safety system, this car has everything. Alright, because those are lock, stock, barrel. You can move them, amortize the cost across different models, right? But you can tell they didn't put a lot of effort in designing the speedo, the interior, you know, and all that. They just maybe ransacked their parts bin and just put everything together and then rolled the car out. So, and to make it sporty, you know, given such development budget, They just sort of like, okay, you know, let's give this kind of suspension, and then the car just goes tung, 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 tung everywhere. But it's pretty alright to drive, personally. High-speed cruising, fantastic. Low-speed driving, alright. Just that, you know, the old Accord that is able to waft and bring people comfortably is gone. And for the driver up front, in no way this one is comparable to the class-leading handling of Mazda 6. And in terms of balancing ride and suspension comfort, it is also not as good as the Camry or the Mazda 6. Let alone, let's not talk about Passat. Passat is another level. Straight up another level. Passat gives you superb riding comfort, and then cornering, and then fuel efficiency and all that, space and all that. Well-engineered car kind of driving experience. This one doesn't. This one has a very good engine and very good CVT gearbox. You know, it pulls power easily after the initial lag, and then it just climbs on from there. It's a fast car, all right. Brakes work really well. Road noise is a little bit coming from the undercarriage, wind noise and all that. No complaints with that. So all in all, yeah, it's a kind of effort, like how Honda treats me now. Anyway, let's go for a drive. I want to show you guys how the car sounds like when you get a phone call. Is your music playing? Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Now it's playing my ringtone, but yesterday it wasn't playing my ringtone. It was playing some default car sound, and it's loud. Anyway, let's go for a drive. But even so, the integration is sort of half-half. Okay, why I say that? Usually, phones that were paired up, you know, they know how to. The car knows how to silent which one and let which one on top. Or the suspension ride comfort is pretty single dimension. Okay. Oh, we want to make it sporty, and then they just go pop pop. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, let's go. See, the front end is responsive because they gave it a sporty suspension. And then it just picks up speed. Brakes really well. I mean, the Civic or this one or the HRV, you know, they all drive really well. They all drive really well. Just that, yeah, it's a CVT, but I don't hear the CVT whine in modern Honda turbo CVTs anymore. Just that, yeah, it has that. It doesn't feel rubber bandy in this car. It doesn't feel rubber band, so pretty alright. So my brother actually bought one, but he bought it because they have immediate available stock. He actually wanted the Camry, and there's no stock for the Camry, and he was like, okay, he'll get an Accord because he was a Honda fan. He has the old Accord Euro R for a very long time, and of course, I mean, who isn't a Honda fan when we were younger, right? Everyone is. And then anyway, he bought one because, yeah, Camry just wasn't available. Okay, 200 horsepower, 260 Newton meters of torque. Of course, this car is powerful enough for what it is, because its competition are naturally aspirated cars anyway. And of course, all I hear is just the pulling of the gearbox and engine, and the engine doesn't sound as good as the 2.5 Mazda 6, of course. However, don't forget, this is a 1.5. What kind of road tax you're paying compared to a 2.5? And Honda's 1.5 turbo not only is powerful, they are also fuel efficient. They are genuinely fuel efficient. So the Accord is a car that is effortless to drive, very easy to drive. It's sportier than the previous one. It has way more power than the previous one, and turning circle is alright. Alright, I mean, I can turn that so easily, and my knees keep pushing on to this hard plastic here, which is pretty annoying, and it's painful. I do not know why. Like, the Mazda 6 makes a really comfortable leather wrap pouch here, just to let your knees rest comfortably, and yet the Accord has a decidedly low cost hard plastics over here that hurts the knees. I'm surprised. Anyway, not many people's gonna search for this video in Malaysia now. Not really. There are so few Accords running around as compared to, you know, HRVs or Civics or Honda Cities. You know, those are cars that are pretty much difficult to fault. And in general terms, decent. Nothing eye-catchy, nothing surprising or whatnot, but it's just a decent effort. But 187,000 is decent enough. Think about it, it's decent enough. So for me, I won't. I don't see it. You know, you can buy the Civic with the same drivetrain, much higher quality interior, and the space doesn't lose out to this in any meaningful way, right? And if you really want a sharp handling D segment, go with the Mazda 6. There's just no comparison. That is an intuitive chassis. This is somewhat. I mean, modern Hondas they don't fail in their handling, but they don't drive like what a really talented chassis would drive. You know, like a Mazda, like a Passat. You know, like the Camry. Camry, I still think lose out to Mazda a little bit. Alright, what else you need to know? Let me know. Yeah, this is the Honda Accord. 187,000, only 4 colors available: white, grey, silver, black, something like that. Yeah, and that's the sound of the engine when you go full beans. Once it starts pulling, it's actually pretty fast, okay? And pretty noisy. Oh, the way it landed. See ya.